Welcome to the Healthier Tech Podcast, the show about building a healthier relationship with modern technology. Now here are your hosts, R. Blank and Stephanie Warner.
Megan Mikkelsen is the owner of Detox by Design and host of the Toxin-Free Talk podcast, where she helps people reduce any confusion around living a toxic-free lifestyle. Megan has always been interested in health and the environment. She has a master's in public health and started a career in health education, policy, and communications. It was when she had her first child, she dove headfirst into making a healthy home in which to raise her family. After finding it confusing and misleading to decipher the marketplace for cleaners and everyday products, she created her business, Detox by Design, where she is providing the knowledge you need to make safer choices for you and your family. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a chance to talk with you again, as we were just chatting about. I was on your fantastic Toxin-Free Talk podcast, and that was really enjoyable. So I appreciate having this opportunity to kind of turn the tables a little bit on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the really hard-hitting questions. What is a crunchy mom?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think when I first thought about being crunchy, it meant kind of just thinking about the earth first and just maybe living slightly differently than your typical everyday mom. So if you're a mom that is reading Parents Magazine or whatever, they might, well, back when I had kids, when I first had kids, I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. So 16 years ago, when you would open up Parents Magazine, you probably wouldn't see anything about BPA or any sort of environmental or green or toxin-free living slant. Today, things are a lot different, thank goodness. But back then, the crunchy mom was the one that probably found out about this, I don't know, maybe from living a more crunchy lifestyle as a child. And so they learned it growing up, or maybe they shopped at a local co-op and they found this information. But it wasn't, a few years ago, it wasn't as talked about. It wasn't as easy to find this information. So that's what I call a crunchy mom, a mom that's conscious, that's thinking about her health and her family's health, and also the environment and their impact on the environment.
And so you started this firm, Detox by Design, to help serve that community. And I just love the name. It just kind of, it's almost like an earworm for me. It just sticks in there. But why don't you say a little bit about like the work that you do with Detox by Design?
So originally Detox by Design started because I had a Facebook group that I was sharing lots of tips, like how to make your own cleaners, or what kind of laundry detergent is good, or how to read an ingredient label. And a friend of mine came to me and she said, Megan, you provide such great information in your Facebook group, but people actually need a little bit more hand-holding when it comes to fully detoxing the home. And that's where Detox by Design began, as a business to really sort of like a personal organizer that comes into the home, that teaches you about how you should remove the toxins from your home and what products to switch and what products are okay to continue using and which ones you should focus on because they have more impacts to our environmental health. So that's kind of where it started. And as you probably are aware, businesses morph and change, and COVID happened, and so Detox by Design has really changed. And it started as a going into the home sort of service-based business. And at this point with COVID, I realized that I can impact more people by having it as an online business. So I have an online course that teaches people how to DIY detoxing the home. And then I also know that people were frustrated with trying to figure out where to buy the products that they could trust and they knew were going to be good for their family. And so I started my online store as a way to make it easier for like a one-stop shop. Like, okay, I need laundry detergent, I need dishwasher detergent. Where do I find these things? And so I started my online store to really serve that purpose for people that were looking for toxin-free and eco-friendly products.
Right. And why should we think about the products that we bring into our home?
Yeah. So many reasons, but I come back to the point of we vote with our dollar. Every time we spend money, we are voting for either what we believe in, or maybe we are just accepting marketing and we're voting for something that we don't even necessarily understand who's behind the product, who's the company that's making the product, where it's made. So it does start there. But as our health is implicated, our environmental health is so important. We are in our homes more today now than we have ever been in our homes. And we are impacted by the things that we choose to bring into our home. And I talk about this a lot on my podcast, Toxin-Free Talk, is that, there's so many toxins in our world that we cannot control. We can't always control the water that we drink because, it's coming through the tap, and sure, you can get a filtration system, but not everyone does that. So you can control it in some ways. But like the air that we breathe, we can't necessarily control how healthy that is. We can't necessarily control if we live next to a farm where there's, maybe some pesticides being sprayed. There's so many different things that we cannot control. But the things that we bring into our home, we do have a choice there. And again, we have that choice to vote with our dollar and to support companies that are doing the right thing by the earth and by our health, or we can just, continue to be complacent or when you're learning new things, it's very easy to revert back to the way that you have been. And I truly do believe that you just have to take one small step, keep educating yourself, keep learning, and even the smallest steps make a difference. So that's kind of the reason why I believe it's really important to change those things in your home. And really our health it's more impacted than we realize by those simple changes that we have the opportunity to make.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I love that you're sharing with our audience that it can feel a little overwhelming. So, what is that one step, taking it kind of step by step instead of letting yourself get all overwhelmed? And to that point, what would be, one or two ingredients we should be watching out for in products that we bring into our home?
Yeah. So the number one ingredient that I always look for is fragrance. And the reason why is because, well, first of all, it's really easy to remember. It's not some 15 syllable word that you're not going to remember that looks very similar to another ingredient. But also fragrance is one of those red flags that if the company is continuing to use fragrance, they likely are using other not so great ingredients. And the reason why fragrance is not good is because fragrance is actually it's a loophole within the US regulation system. So technically, fragrance can cover a multitude of other ingredients, and they hide other ingredients within the term fragrance. And it's proprietary. So the company has the right to use the word fragrance because fragrance is proprietary. So they can hide anything within that term fragrance. And often companies buy fragrance from another company, and the company that sells them the fragrance is not required to disclose what's in fragrance. And so there's very, very little transparency when it comes to the ingredient fragrance. And there have been studies done that show that up to 2,000 different chemicals can be hidden within that one ingredient of fragrance. So that's why I always look for that one first. But as I said earlier, that lack of transparency is giving you a clue that the company is okay with not being transparent about the ingredients in their product. And so are they really caring about the other ingredients that they're listing on their ingredient label? Likely not. They are likely not caring as much about the other ingredients.
Right.
That's
sorry,
really, yeah, no. That's, I thought that was incredibly interesting. I had no idea. So when I hear you talk about this topic, it reminds me a lot about how I talk about issues related to EMF, which is what I was on your podcast talking about.
Right.
And marketing claims is one of these things that that I like to try to educate people on, not just about EMF emissions, but EMF protection.
Right.
And I had no idea about this fragrance loophole, as you describe it. I know you talk a lot about why it is we can't trust these marketing claims. Can you explain that?
Oh gosh, we are honestly marketed to constantly. It may be changing. It may be an influencer on Instagram that's telling us what to buy, or, I don't know what else, but, marketing happens to us all the time. And we have to pay attention, because if you are just reading the front label of, let's say, your shampoo, that front label is going to tell you all these great things about this shampoo. But we don't actually know what's in the shampoo until we turn around the label and we read the ingredients. It's very much like food. If you're trying to eat clean, are you reading the ingredient label? Likely you are. And it's very much the same thing with the ingredients that we have in other products, the products we put on our body every single day. And that's another thing that I talk about a lot on my podcast is frequency. And I'm sure it's very much the same with EMF. It's just how much is your body being impacted by this? If it's something that you only use once a year, you might not care about it quite as much as something that you put on your face every morning and every night.
Day. Yeah.
I mean, it really does make a difference. Or I talk a lot about laundry detergent being one of the very first swaps that you should make, because we put our clothes on our body and we wear them on 80 to 90% of our body all day long. Then we go and we sleep in our bed and we lay our head on our pillow and we have our sheets on top of us. And we're doing that for 8 to 10 hours a night. I mean, all of those, that's a lot of exposure. And so I don't even remember where the question was, but I think
marketing claims.
Marketing. So, and let's go back to laundry. I mean, marketing, this one really kills me. So with marketing with laundry detergent, what do they market most? That your sheets smell fresh, that everything smells clean. Guess how they create that smell?
Using this fragrance loophole.
Fragrance.
Yeah.
And what truly is clean? It's actually the lack of scent. You're not smelling the dirt. You're not smelling the body odor. You actually don't need a fragrance to cover up anything. You need the removal of the smells.
Yeah.
And so that's like the perfect example where, we have to change our thoughts around products because we've been marketed to all the time. I ask that question of people all the time, like the laundry and, smelling fresh, because that is a real light bulb moment for a lot of people where they think, gosh, I really like switching to toxin-free laundry detergent, but it just doesn't smell as clean. Well, you're in luck, because that means that those fragrance chemicals aren't doing damage to your body anymore. So anyway, the marketing is we're just constantly marketed to. And so we can't control that, but what we can do is we can just start to question it, and we can start to dig in a little deeper and learn more and learn about who is actually creating the brands that we buy. Like, the very, very common products that are in Target and Ulta and Macy's or whatever it is, we can look back and who actually owns those brands, and does the brand's values align with my personal values? And is that somebody that I actually want to support and continue to vote with my dollar in supporting them?
Yeah, it makes me think, we talk about fragrance, going back to that like clean smell.
Mm-hmm.
I think about, you walk down the aisle of cleaning of like the home scent products, and you can smell it 3 aisles before you even get there. And it's a little like overwhelming and nauseating. And, it makes me think about these products that say like natural fragrance, natural scent. And how do we start to determine the difference or distinguish between that and, whether it's like actually a natural scent, or if it's something that's actually just in this loophole of disguising other harmful ingredients?
Yeah. So usually it is a part of a loophole. It's usually companies getting smarter about how to market to
Right.
us. So it's very similar with food with natural flavors.
Mm.
Which you may know can hide lots of other not so natural things within the term natural flavors. It's very similar with natural fragrance. What I do is I email the company and I say, I noticed that you weren't fully transparent about your natural flavors. Can you tell, or your natural fragrance? Can you tell me what's actually in there? And as I said earlier, these companies are buying the fragrance from a fragrance company who is not required to disclose what's in it. So often you can tell when they answer and they will give you some excuse about it being phthalate free or whatever. But I still don't want to support a company that is still continuing to not be transparent. And that's where it goes down to, my personal values is transparency is important. If they're lying to me about that, they're not telling me about what's in the product, how can I trust what they're putting out there? But yeah, back to the natural flavors or natural fragrances, sorry. The natural fragrances usually I'll find this happens a lot where they will list a ton of essential oils in the ingredient label.
Yes.
And then they'll also include natural flavors or natural fragrance. I keep doing that. Sorry.
I think it works for both though.
Yes.
The concept.
Yeah, the concept does work. So, they're saying we do all this great thing by using essential oils. Well, why do you have to have natural fragrance in there if you have all of these essential oils, which have an incredibly, truly natural scent to them? And so that's where I really question the ones that, have a bunch of essential oils and then they add in that natural fragrance. It's like, okay, well, why do you need it then? Why do you need that natural fragrance?
Then you're really being duped. It's like,
yes.
Here, get this marketing, this buzzword that
yes.
and that was going to cover up all the other things. That's
right.
really insightful. And I think our audience, and I know for myself, I appreciate having that insight.
Yeah. And I think, the market changes so quickly, right? Which is a good thing. Honestly, like when I started this business and this podcast, the whole point is that the market does change, that the market starts to pay attention to the people that are buying not the number one products, because then we do have an impact on the mass marketed and mass produced stuff. And hopefully those products do become healthier for us and for the earth. So it's a good thing that the market is changing so quickly. But if you look back to 5-10 years ago, natural fragrance wasn't on labels, period. And even essential oils for most products were not listed on the ingredient label because people were trusting to just read the front of their products. Now consumers are becoming more educated and they are reading the ingredient list. And so the marketing, like you were just talking about with essential oils and the fragrance, the marketing is now actually getting into the ingredient label list, which is kind of interesting, right? Just to really look at how the market has changed. Another way that I like to use as example as the market changing and it being a good thing is deodorant has been one of the most ones, in my opinion, affected by more natural and earth-friendly living. So it used to always be in plastic. It used to be highly scented, and there's still plenty of those products in the marketplace. But a lot of the more popular brands, the top sellers, they're even going towards claiming to be more safe and to claiming to not have certain ingredients in their packaging. And they're even going towards paperboard packaging. And you're seeing more of those products in your typical grocery store or Target. And it's a great thing. But as a consumer, you have to pay attention even more because there's more opportunity to be duped by these companies. And we usually call that greenwashing, which means that we're being tricked that something is greener or healthier than it really is. And so that's why you have to pay attention and read your ingredient label on everything you buy, which can get overwhelming. But as I said earlier, just one small step can make a difference. And so just start with that one step and continue to learn.
So you've spoken here and in other podcasts and interviews about the importance of being aware of what you bring into your home because of the impact that these toxins can have on your health and your family's health. And I'm wondering, and totally separate from questions about EMF, do you view technology itself as a toxic force?
Definitely. I mean, I think that it's something that we have to use in our lives. And I think it's always really good to have a good relationship with technology. And we could get really deep here and we could talk about, like, if something is lifting you up or something's taking you down, and how to edit your, it's as simple as unsubscribing from certain emails, or it's unfollowing certain people on Instagram, and just having this relationship where you don't have to be influenced unless you want to be, and thinking about, is that positive or is that negative? So I think it's like this relationship. Tech can be an incredible benefit to our life, but it also can impact us physically and mentally. And so we really do need to think about that and make conscious choices.
Yeah, no. So, and this comes up a lot in our interviews, these two concepts of awareness and intent, and which is what I hear you talking about. I'm wondering if you might share a taste of what this looks like in your household.
Oh gosh, well, I have two teenagers, so as you can imagine. And for us, I have a 7th grader and my sophomore in high school. I'm sure you've heard of Wait Till 8. We did Wait Till 8. And so my 16-year-old did not get a phone until she was in 8th grade. And when she did get that phone, she had some pretty strict limitations on the number of hours for different apps and sort of those sort of things. And then my 7th grader still does not have a phone. And I will say that she is her only friend, period. And I feel like our friend group is very conscious. They're very aware. But again, you get marketed to, usually it's by your kids, like everybody else has a phone.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah. So how did you deal? It
happens all the time.
How did you deal with that?
We just shut it down. It's just, it's not good for you. And I think she had her sister, as a model. And so she knows that we're not going to cave. So she doesn't bother us as much. And we do let her use, our phones, because honestly, if she can't use our phone to do certain things, she really would miss out socially. And so that's where that balance comes, where you have to say yes to some things because you know that it could impact them negatively in other ways. And so, she has group texts, but she only gets it when she is around me and she has a few minutes to look at the phone. So the 7th grader, her contact with tech is so much lower than a typical 7th grader's, because she only gets to use my phone for like these small pockets of time. And then for my 16-year-old, oh gosh, we probably should go back and fix some things. And, we don't have the limitations on the apps like we probably need to anymore. But we did recently institute a phone curfew because she was talking to her boyfriend too late at night. And I was like, you know what? No, because this is impacting your health, because it's impacting your sleep, because you're staying up too late. And I don't care if you're staying up late reading a book. That is completely different than talking on your phone.
Sure.
The other thing that we do at our house is we have all of our charging stations completely separate downstairs. So no one sleeps with tech in their room. We don't have any TVs in our rooms. We don't have any computers in our rooms. That is something that we've had for a very, very long time, even though my husband would really love to just have his phone next to his bed.
So you model this behavior for your children.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And, obviously, as you can imagine, my business is very much on my phone or on my computer. And so that's something that we try to model too. When we have family time, we have phones and computers completely away. We're not watching our phone and also watching TV at the same time. So just trying to model that, and just talking about why we have to pay attention to how much. And again, like I said earlier, like paying attention to, if you are not liking the messages that are coming through on social media, consciously choosing not to follow that anymore. Or, cleaning out your inbox. sometimes we see that number on our phone of notifications. I have 1,000 emails. How does that make you feel? Like, I get overwhelmed by that. Who wants to feel overwhelmed? So, just taking steps to like say, you know what, I'm actually in control of this. The technology isn't in control of me. I'm in control of the technology.
That's great. Yeah. And just off as an aside, I don't know if everyone knows they can do that, but you can actually disable that little notification badge.
Right.
So it doesn't tell you how many unread emails
Right.
that you have.
Yeah. Well, and disabling notifications from social media is a great idea too, because the apps are created to get you to open them. That's why they have notifications. They're trying to, quote unquote, control you, take your time. And you do have the opportunity to, check in and say, oh, that actually does make me want to do that. So I'm going to turn off that notification or delete the app or whatever that is. You do have the opportunity to take back your life from technology.
So returning back, and you might just pull something from earlier in the conversation here, but we like giving our Healthier Tech listeners something immediately actionable.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, taking baby steps to kind of get things going. So what would be like the one thing that our listeners could implement today to make their environment less toxic?
Stop using dryer sheets. I hope that you're.
Oh, that's very specific.
It's very
easy. It's easy.
It's very easy and it's very basic, but dryer sheets are really, really bad for the environment. And they're also very bad for our health. They actually coat our clothing with the chemicals and the scents. And so they're just really bad. And if you've already done that, yes, I'm so proud of you. The second thing I would say is to find a toxin-free laundry detergent that does not use any fragrance. And that can be difficult to do.
And so these alternatives, right? Because I've heard you talk about this before. An alternative to dryer sheets involves these wool dryer balls.
Yes.
And the
essential oils.
And a less toxic laundry detergent. These are all things that people can find in your store. Correct?
Yes, they are. They are. And laundry is a hot topic, but I interviewed the laundry expert, Patrick Richardson, and there's a laundry expert. He has a book too. Yeah. And you would not think that a book about laundry would be so good, but it is. It's funny. It has so many tips in it. It's one of those things that you need to keep in your laundry room because he has the solution for every stain, for avoiding the dry cleaner. It's so good. But I had him on my podcast, and I would encourage you to listen to that episode because we talked about everything laundry. And a lot of people they say, well, the dryer sheets gets rid of the static, and there's great solutions for that we talk about in that podcast episode. So definitely listen to that one. But yeah, laundry sheets, they're just not good.
So not only do you have these products in your store, right, but swapping laundry sheets for dryer balls.
Yes.
This is the kind of information that people can find in your safe swap guide. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a free download. And then once you download it, you get weekly emails from me that really are just kind of sharing the latest in toxin-free living and about the podcast. I don't spam people. It's just, occasional email. And you get my clickable toxin-free shopping list that has my favorite toxin-free products. So
that's great. And so we'll have links to all of that in the show notes. Megan, beyond the links we're going to be putting into the show notes, how would you like our listeners to connect with you?
Yeah, well, I have a Facebook group. If you're a Facebook group lover, it's called Toxin-Free Talk, the same name as my podcast. And then you can find me on Instagram at the Megan Mikkelsen. And my website is detox.design.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Megan. This is great. And as I said at the start, this is our second conversation. I hope it's the second of many. I really enjoyed learning about not only the work that you do at Detox by Design, but also your thoughts specifically on the role of technology as a toxin and how it can be controlled and how we really. So I really appreciate you making the time to come here on the Healthier Tech podcast today.
Well, I'm so glad that I could be here, and I hope I opened your listeners' ears and eyes a little bit to why we need to pay attention. And thank you again.
Yeah, it was a great interview. And I just want to add, I absolutely love your approach to making this topic really simple and approachable. And I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthier Tech Podcast. Remember to check the show notes for all the links and resources mentioned in the show. Please like and subscribe to the Healthier Tech Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. Get your free quick start guide to building a healthier relationship with technology and our latest information at healthiertech.co.